What makes a great partner? What makes you a great partner? It's the attitudes and the habits of thinking and the behavior of you and of your partner. Hi there. Welcome to another episode of the Talk Love with Carol show. Today, we're talking about attitudes and habits of thinking for a great relationship. So what are the attitudes and habits of thinking that lead to a good relationship? So I'm Dr. Carol Henry. I'm a psychologist and relationship coach. And I've been working with couples for about 35 years now. So giving you ideas that I've learned and that are also research-based. And I'm doing it so that you can begin to think about how can we grow our relationship. So let's start with, remember we're talking about attitudes and habits of thinking. Another word for that is mindsets for a great relationship. So what are the two most important elements in a relationship? The two people in it. That's really absolutely true. It's nothing magic. It's the two people. And so what makes a great partner? What makes you a great partner? And it's the attitudes and the habits of thinking and the behavior of each of you and of your partner. So each partner, the way they think and the way they behave is really what makes a good relationship. So today we're going to dive into that, what makes a good partner. And I'm saying today it's mindsets. I mean, I say that every day. Anyway, so again, the attitudes and habits of thinking. And so where do these attitudes come from? And habits of thinking or mindsets, where do they come from? And they come from, not surprising, our childhood. We learn them from our families, our situations that we grew up in, and also from our experiences as adolescents and as adults. But mostly, like most things that are true, it's from our childhood. We learn about the truth of our truth about the world and how the world works from our families. And as I talk about this next part, I want you to think about your family and think about some of the things you learned and see if you recognize some of these things. First, I'm going to talk about in a relatively good family, and then I'm going to talk about the other side. And no families probably fall into either one of these poles, these types. We probably mostly have our families fall somewhere in the middle, or more like this, more like this. So think about it that way. In an especially good home, in that ideal home, let's say, you learn these truths about the world. The world is a welcoming place. You're wonderful, just the way you are, with certain behavioral modifications, of course. You're lovable, you're good and kind. People are good and trustworthy for the most part. That you should love one another and treat each other well. We learn that we can, remember this is in the ideal, really good home, you can manage your feelings. Of course you have feelings. Everybody has feelings, we learn. But we can manage our behavior around our feelings. We feel a lot. And we're not having to suppress in these families. We're not having to suppress our feelings, just hide them. We are expected to feel a lot and act like we're feeling a lot. Happy, sad, angry, scared, all the things. But we also learned that we don't hurt others because we're angry. Instead, you use your words to say, I'm having this feeling or that feeling, but not to hurt other people. And when I say hurt, I'm not just talking about physically, but emotionally. Your feelings are your feelings, and in what you learn in these families, but not to hurt other people or make them feel bad about themselves. You don't need to speak about their faults when you're angry or criticize them, but do tell others how you feel and respect each other. You learn to respect each other in these good families. And that's why we don't just blow off, steam verbally when we're angry. So, however, many of us don't learn these feelings and attitudes and beliefs and coping strategies. Instead, and this is in a different environment that we grow up in, we believe we shouldn't be angry or scared or sad. If we are, keep it to ourselves, because you're bad to think these feelings, to have these feelings. We also learn, be suspicious. Don't trust people. Don't give people the benefit of the doubt. People will take advantage of you, we learn in these families. It's okay to yell, curse, call people names, say all the negative things that come into your mind when you're angry. That's what people learn. And it's okay to hit people if you're angry with them. Or the truth that you're learning. Other people are the cause of my feelings, not me. It's your fault, not mine. Also, there's roles that people learn. Men shouldn't do this, whatever this is. Often it's feel, or certainly feel sad or scared. Women don't do that. So what don't women do? Maybe get angry. Men, oh, by the way, men are not supposed to cry. So people learn these things. I've heard so many people talk about this and how that was what they were taught. That was how they were brought up, and it became their truth. That's our truth. Whatever we learn at home becomes our truth, at least until we examine it. And that's the truth about the world. That's how things should be, right? So how does this impact relationships? I know as you were thinking about and seeing and recognizing some of the things that I talked about, you probably have some ideas already. But remember, these are truths, our truths. We enter into our relationship with these things as the way we view the world. And we can call it our lens. What's the lens that we look at the world through? It's the truths that we learned as kids. So we bring that lens into our relationship, and it often, almost always, conflicts in some ways with the lens that our partner brings into the relationship. We often partner up with people that had a very different, upbringing than we did. So we argue through our own lens. We argue with the person. We judge our partner through the lens that we grew up in. We assume our lens is right. So over the years, as I've worked with all those couples, one of the things that's the most important thing to do is we unpack these truths, examine them, see if what we have been, how we've been operating, what we've looked at as our truth, is that helping us in our relationship? Is it impeding our relationship? Is it an obstacle? Or are they obstacles? Are our lenses obstacles? So it's one of the most powerful strategies that a couple can have, that they begin to think about what they're thinking, about how they're thinking. What makes me, for example, what makes me angry when my partner does XYZ? Why do I have such a strong reaction to that? And what makes me upset when my partner thinks I should be doing ABC instead? And how can they think that? And what's going on here? So when you start thinking about this, when you start thinking about what you're thinking and what you're believing, and of course then how you're behaving, you begin to think about changing the thoughts that no longer are serving you. Maybe it no longer serves you to be suspicious, to be thinking, I can't trust anybody, because your partner's somebody. It's one of those anybody's. And so when you notice that sort of you walked into this with distrust, and when you begin to unpack that and think about it, you might ask yourself, what does my partner do that makes them untrustworthy? And a lot of times you have to think, really nothing. Or maybe one time they told me something which I didn't believe, one time in 15 years. And maybe I was not even right to mistrust it then, or they made a mistake. And maybe maybe this person in this relationship, maybe that trustworthy idea doesn't really ring true. Maybe my partner is trustworthy. So that's different than what you heard. I mean, you learned if you had that message in your family. And so you begin to realize that's a mindset that I have. That's a belief I have that is not serving me, and it isn't even true in regarding my partner. It really isn't true. So I don't want that one. I don't want to think that anymore. This is part of one of the ways that a relationship can be one of our biggest learning experiences and best learning experiences. Our relationships invite us to grow, rethink things, grow and change, and to be our best selves because we love our partners, right? And we want to be our best selves. So let's think about, what does that take? How does that happen? How do we do this? And I'm going to give you just a list of things. It's the process on how you begin to think about how you're thinking and really assess, does this serve me? Do I believe that, what I learned? And this can be useful for people that are just getting married, they are very early in their marriage or a relationship, all the way to people who have been married for decades. I've worked with them too to help them begin to rethink some of the ideas that they have. And it's really, really powerful. So here's the process. You begin to sort of force yourself or set that intention. I'm going to really think about how I'm thinking. Okay. What are the beliefs that I have? Especially it's the easiest time to know that is when you're kind of aggravated about something. Instead of picking a fight or participating in a fight about whatever it is, begin to think about, what am I thinking right now? And write it down. Just write that down. Then take a few of those and decide, do I actually believe what I'm thinking? Some of the what you could call automatic thoughts. Boom, my truths, which become your automatic thoughts, especially when you're upset. So these are automatic thoughts that we learned early. Do I actually believe that? Does that really apply to this relationship I'm in? If not, think about, what do you believe based on your own more current experiences, especially with your partner? What do you believe about that? And then practice shifting from the old belief. The one we've been talking about is untrustworthiness. That from the old belief that you should be suspicious, people probably aren't to be trusted, that they're maybe going to take advantage of you. So when you think about, now in my relationship, does this apply? Do I actually believe that that's what's going on? Does that apply? Or maybe it doesn't. So my current experience is that that's just not true, at least in this relationship. So then you practice shifting. When you get caught up in the old belief, like the suspicion, whatever, then you think, wait, that's not true in this relationship. That's not true. You begin to shift and think about the new one. And as you do it, you're rewiring your brain, because the old automatic thought has a pathway in your brain. It's got a place in your brain that when something happens, you're going to go to untrusting, suspicious. But now you've realized that doesn't apply to this person that I'm with. right now, and that I know that doesn't apply. Okay, I don't want to think that anymore. So I'm going to go to the new thought that I have, that I trust this person. This person is trustworthy. And then you're starting to lay down that new pathway in your brain of this person's trustworthy. And you might even think, as you broaden it, my friends are too. Maybe that just isn't true in my life now. So the new thought will begin to become your automatic belief in time. As you shift and think it, and practice that, remembering that, in time, you will have shifted some of those things that don't apply, that aren't true anymore. As we change our setting from our family we grew up in to our relationship that we're in now, we gotta change some of the beliefs that we have, because maybe they were true in our childhood. Maybe they were true. At least we believed them. But maybe they're not true anymore. Anyway, this is under the heading of grow yourself to grow your relationship. And what does that have to do with this? As you begin to grow yourself, change yourself into the current iteration, the current you that you are, you're beginning to realize you can change your thoughts to make them more applicable to now. And as you do that, you're changing your relationship. You're enabling yourself, in the example we've used, you're enabling yourself to become closer to your partner, because now you don't have that old belief as a barrier. You don't believe the old belief anymore. And so it takes out that obstacle to connecting, and it enables you to connect more, to love more, to really see your partner more accurately, but also to be that person that's trusting now, or more trusting. And so you've grown yourself, you've recognized actually the growth that you can have, and your relationship gets closer and closer. So that's how you learn the different ways of thinking. You learn the patterns of thinking, or the habits of thinking, and the attitudes that are relevant to your relationship you're in now, and probably to life in general. And so you've grown yourself and you grow the relationship. That makes it closer to being a really great relationship. Okay. So if you want to have help, or talk to me more about this idea, if you want me to help you, or just help you in a conversation, because we can do that too, contact me. I'm going to give you my phone number and an email. But even before that, I'm going to say you can, some of you are already in my group, Committed Couples Growing Together. If not, join us. And so you can contact me in a few ways. One is you can direct message me on Facebook. You can call me I'm going to give you my phone number, 206 390 5715. So 206 390 5715. And you can also email me at Carol J. Henry, PhD, at gmail.com. So I hope you've enjoyed this and learned some things about thinking about how you're thinking and growing your relationship by changing some of the old ways that you've been looking at things and substituting them with things that are more relevant now, and things that you believe now, which may be different and probably are from the ways that you were taught in your early life. Okay, so I will be here next week at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific. And I hope to see you then. Bye now.